Hey there, welcome on the spot. Today I'm here with James Rowbotham. I think I said it right. And he's a fellow agent of mine out of Compass. And he's in the Walnut Creek office. And James, floor is yours. Go into yourself and go from there.
Hey, Steven, thank you for having me on your
Yeah,
podcast here on the
yeah,
spot. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so Steven, we've been in the office with Compass for a little bit of time. Steven found out and talked to me kind of what my history was before coming here to Compass as a real estate agent. So I have 20 years in uniform. I was in the military, U.S. Army active duty back in the beginning of the Iraq War, 2003 to 7, and had a couple tours in Iraq and got out of the military and joined the Oakland Police Department, was there for about 16 years, been in many different assignments, and then was injured due to the vaccine. My heart had damage, and I have now some medical conditions with my heart that got me to retire. So my sister is a real estate agent, Zara Robotham, in San Francisco, and she's been a real estate agent for about 16 years. And she's with Vanguard, and she said, "Hey, bro, why don't you come over and get into real estate?" Our father, he's into business. He's a global tax consultant. And so it kind of worked out where, hey, flow into business now instead and try a different career path. And so now I've been about 2 years with Compass and real estate, primarily focused in San Francisco and the East Bay.
Cool.
So.
Good story. I forgot you were in the military and stuff. Back in '03, I graduated '02. So right after you probably deployed. So you did how many terms you went over to Iraq? You said a couple times? Twice?
So I enlisted at 20 years old. Actually, I was
Okay.
at college, and I said, this is not for me. Quite boring.
Yeah.
Out of high school and a little bit of college, and then I've always wanted to be in the military, so I joined when the war was coming on. I said, hey, I want to be that kid on the block. Tell stories and say I've
Yeah.
traveled the seas and the desert. And so I joined at 20 years old in February and did basic training. And right after basic training, I was a cavalry scout, 19 Delta, they call it, the
Okay.
MOS. And I was out of Fort Knox, Kentucky, is where I was trained. And when I got off the bus and finished the basic training, and then they sent me to Germany. I was stationed in Germany, but my unit had already deployed. So it deployed at the beginning of the war. It was a armored cavalry unit. And so when I got to Germany, it was basically in processing. Basically had all my immunizations and in pros me for about 2 weeks. And the guy on the bus goes, "You guys are going to Iraq. There's no
Mm.
short into the stick of that. So you're out of here." So I did two tours, was in Baghdad, and did a lot of back and forth route clearance and some raids. We were a brigade reconnaissance troop, a troop because we're cavalry, and we did a lot of QRF, quick reaction force. I responded to a lot of calls for help with reinforcements. We were in Najaf and Al Qut when Sadr's militia had taken over some of the city down there. And then came back to Germany, and then came out right spat us back out for a second tour shortly after that, and kind of did my tours through Iraq, and then they were back home after a year, and third month into being back in Germany, they're talking about another tour. I said, this is enough." I said, "I had a lot of close calls already. I'd been hit with 3 separate IEDs and shot at." And so I go, "Hey, you know
Wow.
what?" I met my girlfriend at the time on through leave, going back and forth, and she was an au pair from Europe, the U.S. And I said, the captain sat with me and said, "Hey," and I was a sergeant at the time. The captain sat down and said, "Hey, Sergeant Robotham, how about some senior leadership and sticking around for another tour? These guys need a guy with experience." And I said, "Let me think about that." So no,
Good story.
I got out, and then I lived with my girlfriend. So she's from Slovakia. So she was an au pair in the Bay Area. And she said, "Hey, I'm going to be at some point towards the time of her term of being an au pair." She said that my time is coming up. I can get out or stay over here. And I said, "Well, Slovakia and Germany are pretty close, and I'm about to get out." So I flew back and forth for a little while for about an hour flight to Bratislava, and then got out of the military and lived with her for a few months. And then money started running out. I wasn't working. You
Yeah.
need to speak the language.
Yeah.
So I had to go back home, get a job, and that was with the Oakland Police Department. So I was there for 16 years and did a few specialized assignments through them there. And then I was a sergeant there for a little while. And then the rest is history. Now real estate.
Cool. Good story. So we'll go the on the spot with these questions. You ready?
Sure, go for it.
Alright,
Shoot.
alright. Start with the first one, what are your thoughts on real estate market? I know you're an AFL agent, you do city too as well and out in the East Bay. What are your thoughts and crystal ball predictions going?
I mean, the real estate market is booming in San Francisco.
Yeah,
The AI money, I mean, it's all over the news. I mean, you got SpaceX, you got OpenAI. I have been dealing with two on all ends of the market, from disheveled homes to luxury $6 million houses, and the disheveled properties they're selling for, they'll be on the listing for 998 and they'll sell for 2 million. Then you've got $6 million houses that are on the market and they'll sell for 7 or 6.5. And I'm scratching my head a lot. My sister and I, we with Zara, we're asking a lot of these agents that are selling too the 900 and they get a 2 million deal. We go, where are they coming in with how the money is working? Like their numbers to build, and then on the resale, they're gonna hit the height of that neighborhood and market value, and their numbers are not going to line up. How so? But it's almost like developers don't care. They
yeah,
just want their piece of the market in San Francisco. So it's kind of like, they're looking at, okay, a buy in 2 million, maybe it'll cost 1 million to build. And then the house will top out at 3 million in that neighborhood. But you're going, where are they making money? It's kind of like they don't care. They just want to get in and they'll deal with the upside of their income later on. But yeah, Bay Area is hot right now and is booming, and even East Bay, a little bit on the slower, but you do have a lot of families that are rotating from the East Bay into San Francisco, but even also people from like South Bay that are moving into the suburbs of the East Bay. So I think California and the Bay Area is just booming, and I think it's going to keep on going with the big firms and the big companies that are producing.
yeah. I noticed that too. Being in seeing in San Jose, showing some homes, it's like 2 million for or 1 million for like a 2-2. So they're gonna have the highest per square foot dollar amount, and that's why people come out here for get a cheaper house for the amount spent. So I totally see that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
any now, about the SF, are you seeing like the AI industry starting to take and buying out there? What are you seeing with that as far as that with the buyers that you're seeing that are moving out
A
of there?
lot of buyers are AI. A lot of the buyers are also first time buyers, and
Mhm.
they're families that are newer families. They're either lawyers or doctors, and they're able to afford a $3 million house, but they're first time buyers. And you're
Yeah,
going, whoa, a first time home. It's even with big tech, they're coming in with even bigger funds where they're buying first time homes that are $5 to $6 million as first time buyers. I had a listing that was 479 28th Street, which it was a couple of first time buyers. There were two attorneys, and they had been living in Pacific Heights in a condo, and they wanted to move up there expecting their first child. And this house was like just under 5,000 square feet, 5 floors,
yeah,
and their first time of their first real home. And you're going, my gosh, the money that's just coming in. And it's an exciting time. But yeah, the market is just flying in San Francisco, and how I see it in the future, I think with AI and tech, things
mhm,
are moving a lot faster. The industry is now really on the internet, and communication is just there's no holding back. And I go with the industry of AI, SpaceX. I see it just keep it's going to keep on ramping up. So it's going to really be about, are people's incomes going to keep up with those prices? That's the big question.
okay, cool, good thoughts. Let me ask you this: you want to share a struggle you went through during work or life with the audience out here, listeners?
Struggles. Biggest, I really just push forward. I don't think too much. If I see adversity, I power through it. I just kind of say, okay, what can I do to deal with this? Well, here's one struggle. That I currently deal with is I got my pilot's license. I own my own aircraft,
Oh, okay,
a
that's
Cessna.
right. You told me that, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I lost my medical because of my, heart condition with the FAA, so that in itself is a struggle, but really it's about just organizing paperwork, records, and it's something that I would like to fix, but I haven't really focused much of my attention on that. I really kinda moved over to just dealing with my business and real estate, but I look more at struggles as how to overcome things. It's an obstacle. Let's try and figure it out. I don't really dwell on it hindering me or holding me back. It's just an obstacle that I have to figure out, educate myself, and move forward. But
Cool.
yeah, I come with obstacles all the time, but it's all about how to.
Yeah. How about this? Is there a quote that you heard that you want to share with the audience that you sticks out?
Oh, they're patent quotes.
Yeah.
Better to let the dumb bastard die for his own country rather than you die for your country. So I'm a big history buff, and did a lot of readings on Patton. I actually did a study on Patton years ago when I was younger in college.
Okay. Good stuff. You got a favorite history movie or that you like?
Did you say favorite movie?
Yeah, for history, yeah, that's seen out there are war
You know,
movies.
the movies that I like are Commando. I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan.
Okay.
The reason why I like Commando is it's outrageous, right? A lot of
Yeah.
the stuff that he does, it's over the top, and I think he really blossomed in the '90s with
Yeah.
those '90s movies. So I love the '90s theme movies, a lot of Schwarzenegger movies. So I'd say biggest fan for him.
All right. Let me ask you this. Is there a mistake that you regret in real estate?
Do I have a regret in real estate or a mistake? It's a learning process. I Mistakes is how you learn. I don't, if you everything's easy and smooth, you're not learning and you're just status quo. I think if the more mistakes you make, the more you're learning and then you pick up from that mistake. So I will say a mistake. Yes. I had a listing. It was a developer build and I did private. I had put on private exclusive. And in private exclusive, there was a checkbox that said California closets. And I unknowingly didn't realize. So I had marked California closets and the developer had no intentions of installing California closets. And so that was a mistake that I clicked the box California closets and so it became a big orchestrated deal with the buyer that wanted these California closets, or at least one of them. So it did a lot of explaining and apologizing with that. So that was a big hiccup on my end when I had a private exclusive and I marked California closets, and there was no intent to put California closets in it. So that was my one big learning lesson: is be careful what you click because it can get you into a lot of trouble.
Okay. Good lesson there. Let me ask you this. What are you watching nowadays? What's your favorite show on Netflix or Prime, or what are you watching that for TV right now?
I liked Stranger Things. That was a great show. I like a lot of the what is it? John Hamm is in, but I think that's an Apple.
Okay.
He's my next door neighbors, where he's basically stealing from his neighbors, and it's kind of like a Desperate Housewives kind of
Uh,
story
okay.
in a really wealthy neighborhood. Those are great TV series I like.
Let me ask you this. So, James, if we introduce you to your walk-up song, what do you come out to? What's your walk-up song?
Oh my gosh. I didn't think about that one. My walk-up
Yeah.
song, party rock or, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be party rock or something, party rock anthem.
Okay. All right.
Something exciting, energetic, energizing, juice you up.
Yeah. Were you guys when you're on the trucks and the military? Do you guys have music on the, or are you guys just kind of quiet? Is it different? What's the vibe like when you guys are going on your missions? Is it you guys have radio on, or you just kind of
So I was a gunner. Well,
okay?
actually, I was a driver. You start at the low end. You're kind of like in the back seat, then you move up to a
Yeah.
driver, and
Uh-huh.
then you become a gunner, and then later on, when you're promoted to supervisor level, you become like a truck commander. So no, there's a lot of joking around. We're sarcastic, and you're smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, you're drinking your
Yeah.
Gatorade. It's a lot of times it's getting from A to B and it can be monotonous and you're just driving and then all of a sudden you have to quickly react to something. But no, there's usually constant chatter, constant talking, jaw jacking, laughing, and then then it kind of hits and then things get real serious real fast and everybody kind of jumps into the role that they've trained or what they need to do. But yeah, there's always banter and you're out there for a long period of time. It's just you guys. I kind of look at when you deploy that it's a giant reset button on your life because,
Yeah.
here back home, everybody kind of is living their life and you disappear from that. You're gone. You're gone from the picture. You're not really calling and people are just living their life. And then, you're in the moment. And so all you have is each other when you're deployed. And so you're just kind of reminiscing, talk families and joking around. And then you call back and people have moved on, and so Yeah, deployments are tough because it's a reset on your life, and the danger your life is on the line too.
Yeah, cool. Let me ask you this: who's your on your Mount Rushmore of baseball? I think we're talking about
Oh my
baseball, but
gosh, I love the Bash Brothers. I love the
okay,
old school '90s.
yeah,
The A's. You got Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson. I threw those guys out there. Basketball, I think it's, you got the Michael Jordan,
yeah,
the Shaquille O'Neals, I think Steph Curry. I
yeah,
even those guys, Chris Mullen.
yeah,
Those guys are the top of their game at that time. I remember Mark McGuire. One of the last games I saw Mark McGuire play for the A's
yeah,
it was like I can't remember the team he was playing, but I was with my dad, and it was it was the last inning. Bases were loaded, and my dad and I were about to walk out. We were standing at like one of the halls, just about to leave, and he said, "Oh, hey, Mark McGuire's up," and it was like 3 balls, 2 strikes. So this was the last thing, and he cracked a grand slam right in our direction, and it won the game, obviously, because bases
yeah,
were loaded. It was one of his last games for the A's before he went over, and so we didn't get the ball though. But this thing came. We were too far away because we were right. If we had stayed at the bleachers or the seats, we would have been closer to it. But we were
yeah. What about football? Anybody on your Mount Rushmore of football? Or
Oh, man. I never really focused much on, the players, but I'll tell you what, though, when I was working for the local police, I worked the Raider games, and so
okay,
I was in the West Side Club with the season ticket holders. So I
yeah,
did the Raider games for 4 years, and I loved standing there with the fans, and, the season ticket holders never really got too wild because if you got too wild and too crazy, you would lose your season ticket spot
yeah,
and they'd kick you out of the game. But
yeah,
I loved the Raider games working when I was doing overtime out there for the season ticket on the West Side Club. And then it didn't continue because they moved to Vegas. So
yeah.
after that, I never did them again because the Oakland lost the Raiders to Las Vegas.
Let me ask you this: I know you're talking about being a pilot a little bit. What's some of your flying
Say it
adventures
again.
you've done? I know you're a pilot. You fly around a little bit. You
Yes.
want to share me a couple like where you flew to, some stories, things like that. Maybe where
Sure,
want
sure.
to.
So when I was flying at my busiest, so I fly out of Livermore. I have a Cessna 180 tail wheel. It's a
Okay.
plane that sits like this, and you got the one wheel,
Yeah, yeah, I've seen
and
those.
they're pretty
Okay.
tricky planes to fly. They take a lot
Yeah.
of skill and practice because they have a tail, and it
Uh,
will act like a wind vane if you're not careful on that little tiny back wheel. But I'd fly to Tahoe. Flew my dad through the Sierras. I'd fly out to Reno, and we would fly to Bishop Airfield on the other side of the Sierras, like towards Lone Pine. We would stay overnight out there as well. And then biggest thing is uh, I was out there by Byron. I was flying out by Byron, and so a little story is I was flying out by Byron, and I heard these big metallic pings. I was looking around, and I look around. I say, "Man, that's a big bug. If I hit something, I wasn't sure if it was my engine or something." And the aircraft was flying just fine. And I go, "That was like a bug." And so I'm looking to see if there was a bug or something I could spot that on the windshield. And then another ping, loud ping. And I go, "Okay, that's getting strange." And I was listening and I was listening to the engine and I said, "I'm gonna go fly back to Livermore." So as I was flying back to Livermore, I heard another ping. And then I'm looking and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna slow the plane down." I'm looking. And then all of a sudden I saw chunks of metal shooting out the cowling right in
uh,
front of me. And so I go, "Okay, this looks bad." I'm having chunks of metal flying outside my, plane, and it was going through the sheet metal. These
yeah,
planes are made out of sheet metal, and so, okay, I said, "I don't know what's going on, but the plane seems to be running fine. I'm not gonna really mess with anything. I'm just gonna cruise in." So I got on the air traffic control, the tower, and said, "Hey, I got a problem. I need priority landing." And they asked if I had an emergency, and I said, "Well, this is what's happening." I said, "I'm getting chunks of metal shooting out from my engine." And so I said, "I'm not quite declaring the emergency because the plane seems to be running fine, but I need landing now." So it was busy, and the air traffic control, AT, the tower, They're really good at this. They're really trained well, but they were diverting all aircraft out of the area and they were fast. And what was really nerve wracking for me too is the wind was coming from the opposite direction, which means I had to fly basically downwind to left or right of the airport to come around and land where the wind was. But I didn't want to do that because that would just put me and the aircraft more at risk. I'm flying low. I just wanted to come straight in. And so I did. I came straight in and actually landed. It was good landing, easy landing, was safe. They had like a fire truck stand by. And then I came around, taxied around, and then we pulled the cowling off. And what happened was a bolt that was holding on to the alternator had shimmied off and or had the bolt cap, the bolt nut had come off, had shimmied off, and then the bolt moved to where it was hitting the fans of the alternator, and the fins, the metal fins of the alternator were being shot out from the alternator, breaking off and hitting through the cowling.
Wow.
So got it repaired and got it taken care of, but it was a big thing for coming in, and I saved the radio traffic of that too. But good landing though,
Yeah. Good story.
safe landing.
Good story. Let me ask you this. What's something you did during the pandemic that you picked up that you still do today?
The pandemic. Oh man. Well, I mean, I was working with the police.
Okay.
Nothing, I was working with the police department, so our job never stopped. We
Yeah.
kept on going. We had to wear masks. So there wasn't really a skip in step. I mean, the pandemic got me my vaccine. There was a requirement through the state and the city of Oakland said, "Hey, it's a prerequisite now for employment." So I had to get the vaccine in order to remain employed with the local police, and I wasn't in the position to say no. So that's ultimately got me my injury, but also that's what I dealt with. So I really just kept on doing the same thing. Nothing's really changed per se on how I do work. I still come to the office. I'm
Mm.
still active. I still like to meet people.
Yeah.
I do some work from home, but mostly out in the field.
Gotcha. Cool. Let me ask you this. Do you have a dream car out there?
Yes, the
Okay.
1990s, you got the Lamborghini, you got the Ferraris, you got the Lamborghini Countach.
Mhm.
I love those cars. Those, I mean, even if you buy them today, they're still worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're basically just the look of those cars. I love them. The red Ferraris and the Lamborghini. Yeah, those are great cars. I was talking to a friend actually who bought one. I forgot the model that he bought for a Ferrari, but he ended up selling it for around $100,000. But he had a 1990s. It was his dream car as well. So I love those
Nice.
cars.
Cool. What are your thoughts on the EV car? Fan of it? Experience? Share your
Love
thoughts.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I bought a Model Y Tesla
Yeah.
back in December. I got
Mhm.
that car. And I was a little skeptical, and I was not sure. I had trucks and gas cars, obviously, and then the Tesla. Love that car. It's fantastic. The autopilot. But I did a lot of research before I bought the car to figure out which one is. Do I get a hybrid? And I'll say Elon Musk is on top of it with those with his Tesla cars. The autopilot,
Mhm.
fantastic. Yeah, I did LA recently, and I just had to juice up once in Kahneman Ranch and
Okay.
made it all the way down, and it was no issues. It was great. And
So no issues on the Vine? Grapevine was fine? No issues over there? Going over that?
Grapevine was fine. Yep.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Grapevine was no issue. It the acceleration's incredible because when you hit the acceleration, there is no changing of gears, or even when you're in an automatic car,
Yeah.
there's a downshift that you feel. There's none of
Mhm.
that. It's instant. It's instant power. So
Cool.
I'm a big fan of the Model Y that I've got. I love it.
Let me ask you this. What age would you go back in time to if you could live at? What age would you pick to live?
Back to the an early '90s kid.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
simpler times. I remember going into the movie theater and big movies like Saving Private Ryan, and you've got the Gladiator. I love those were great. Those were great movies, and I like that time frame. I could
Did you
go
go up
back then.
around the
Well,
East Bay too?
nobody really had cell
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah. You grew up on the East Bay too, right? Or did you or
Yeah. I
okay.
grew up out here, Alamo, Walnut Creek. I did. I was in Oakland for a short time till about maybe 8, 9 years old.
Okay. Cool. How about a favorite field trip that you have you want to share with us growing up?
Oh my
Those?
gosh. I can't remember the field trips. I could talk about, now it's
Yeah.
about my kids. I got an
Yeah.
8-year-old
Okay.
son and a 2-year-old boy. So I do all the field trips with my
Nice.
kids or my
Yeah.
son. He's in 3rd grade this next
Okay.
year.
All right.
So that's what I enjoy now. That's
Yeah.
what in my age, maybe I'm in my 40s. That's
Yeah.
all I can remember for field trips right now.
Okay. Cool. How about this? So I'm guessing you're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your thoughts are, and you can it's more, but with the technology, with AI, ChatGPT, iPads. We grew up with me. I think sixth grade I had internet, but today's world they have it like at their fingertips. Second graders, third grade they have it. But what are your thoughts on that whole aspect of the media with AI and ChatGPT, all that stuff?
It's impossible to say to your kid, "No tech," no TV, no
Yeah.
phone. It's because we're on it, we have it, it's
Mhm.
everywhere. Everything in moderation.
Yeah.
If what we've done with our kids or my oldest son is we heavily instill book reading. He's a big book reader. We instill reading, and he's gotta read, and not on the iPad, it's gotta be a book. So we have a big shelf, huge from, ceiling to floor shelf of books for him to read. He's got books when he goes to the bathroom. I think that's really important is reading. And, if he does want some time on an electronic or watch a little bit of movie or on TV, he's got to do a little bit of homework before then. So I think keeping it in moderation and also just having them be at least exposure to how it is done back before there was electronics, like reading a book, doing math on paper, and then bring on the electronic. But I think with schools bringing it, I don't agree with that. I think schools need to keep the electronics out and minimize it in a sense, like, have your computer class. But if they're going to be to school, they need to learn how to write. They need to, read a book, do their math, draw out their equations. I think that's really important. So I think everything in moderation.
Yeah. Seems not right, but yeah, I don't have a kid yet, but I could see how the aspect and the pairing of that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is there a movie you recently watched that you like?
Movies. You know, uh, everything's kid movies.
Okay.
Everything's kid movies, Hopper, I watch a lot,
Did you
at
see
night
Toy
I'll
Story
watch
5 yet?
was that?
Did you see Toy
No,
Story 5 yet? No?
no,
Okay.
I didn't even know they're that high with Toy Story 5.
I just noticed last week I saw people with the shirts on. I was like, "That came out?" Like, "Yeah." I was like, "Alright."
I
So,
know. I'm still on Toy Story 3. I
I
didn't know
remember
there's a
1.
4.
I remember
Yeah,
1.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, movies, a lot of it's to do with the kids, so it's kid movies, there's Hopper. You know what I will say? The
Yeah.
Spider-Man series,
Okay.
the new, the multiverse Spider-Man. Those are
Okay.
fun movies. I like
Yeah.
those, and so my son and I go to those movies, and those
Okay.
those are those are quite fun.
Have you experienced the 40X yet with the motion seats? I know
The what?
Gladiator the 40X where your seat kinda moves. Have you
Oh,
seen those?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the recliner?
Yeah. Recliner, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
seat can
I
move?
mean, those are
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I think the last movie that I sat with my son, I fell asleep a little bit. I'm sitting there like so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
they're good.
experienced, I saw a couple like Gladiator 2 and F1 like that. It was kinda cool with the motion seats and stuff, but
Well, that's
yeah.
right, they had a remake of Gladiator, right? Oh, no, the
Well,
Gladiator 2, right.
yeah, did you see that one or no?
Well, yeah, I wait till a lot of those come out on Amazon or Netflix,
Oh,
that
okay.
you had to
Yeah.
pay at $24.
Yeah, yeah.
More those those
Gotcha.
those movies are more expensive than actually going to the movie theater.
Are they? Yeah, if you
Yeah,
do
they
IMAX
they are they
seats,
are.
the IMAX,
What's
I think it's
that?
about $24. The IMAX, it's about $24, I think, if you watch it
24.
there. So in person, but yeah. So what about this? Are you Apple or Android guy?
Apple guy, all day
Okay.
long.
So when
No,
you see the
I
green yeah. When you
say
see the
again?
green bubble, what happens?
What's the green
What do you
bubble?
think? Like from Android phone, the green bubble pops up on your phone. What do you think? Are you trying to
I
do that?
I don't I don't know what the green bubble is.
The green text message had the blue bubble. We see the green bubble instead. Do you
Oh,
know what I mean? Yeah, you don't look
the
into
little
that?
bubbles
Yeah.
when people are texting?
Yeah, so but yeah, the blue bubble is Apple phone, the green bubble is Android, if you
Oh,
knew
I didn't
that,
know
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know
okay.
that.
Yeah, so
I got a couple of friends that use the Android, and I'm always teasing them. I say, "What is that? You get with the times.
yeah,
Apple's it. Apple's the
yeah.
phone." I like Apple. It's easy, it's intuitive, but I'm a big PC. I don't like the MacBook.
Okay.
That's kind of where it's funny with me, where I like the phone, but I'm a big Windows guy with the laptop. I like I've got like the Razer Blade or the Lenovo, and then a PC, Windows PC. But yeah, I use an Apple phone.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on the MacBook Air right now, and I was a
I got one of
PC
those.
before, so I'm trying to, there's some good and bads I notice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
It's preference, but I like to tease. My sister, she just bought a brand new. She has a MacBook, and she's had it for probably a decade or something. I said, "You
yeah.
need a new laptop," and I said, "Hey, if we get another good deal that goes through, I'm gonna buy you a new laptop." But I said it'll be my choice. She ended up realizing she needed a new MacBook, and she got a MacBook today. And I said, "No, get like a Lenovo or a regular Windows base." And she says, "Oh, it's great for the integration." I said, "You don't use it for what are you integrating? You're not that tech savvy." She goes, "I can text people back on my laptop."
Yeah.
And then she's 3 years younger than me. So I said, "Oh,
Okay.
really? So you could have your phone next to you. It's easy to
Yeah.
text people on your laptop. That's great."
Yeah. Gotcha. Cool. How about this? You want to share a tip of the week, business tip, life tip for our listeners out there?
Always keep positive attitude. If you're negativity breeds negativity. Geez, I'm stuttering a lot. Yeah, it's about attitude. Everything's about attitude, how you treat people. If you want to get something done and do it right, bury your head down, keep moving forward. Don't let the small stuff get in the way. If it's small stuff that you can't control, it's not worth digging into deep and getting upset about. I think most people get upset mostly about the small stuff that they can't really control. So it's a keep moving forward, keep having tasks, and positive attitude, and positive attitude, and reinventing yourself can go a long way.
Gotcha. Cool. Good one. Let me ask you this. Who do you want to sit down and eat with, dead or alive? You could pick somebody. Who would it be?
Say that again.
Uh, who you want to pick to sit down and eat with if you could pick somebody, dead or alive, a person to eat with? Who would it be?
Who would I pick?
To eat with, to
Oh,
have a meal. Yeah.
who would I choose to pick with?
Just sit down and eat with a meal. Yeah.
Dead or
Person.
alive? Oh man.
Yeah.
So again, my history buff. I
Yeah.
would like to. There's a big group of them actually. Julius Caesar, Roman Empire. He's a pretty big name with the battles of. See what he would say about the Roman time and the battles and his tactics. And then sit down with modern guys like Kevin O'Leary, businessman, Canadian businessman. He's on the news every day, tech guy.
Yeah.
And then guys
Shark
like
Tank.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Has been in many movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's got an incredible story from where he grew up in Austria to
Yeah.
where he is, now here in the US, and,
Yeah.
even became governor. He went as far as he could.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you're a Commando guy more than Rambo from Stallone, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Schwarzenegger guy. Yeah, I'm not much. I've watched all the Schwarzenegger movies. Stallone, haven't watched a whole lot. I've watched some of his Rambo ones and a few others,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a big Schwarzenegger guy.
Now, what if you're stuck in an elevator? Who do you be stuck in an elevator with? What person would it be?
It's funny. Jim Carrey,
Okay.
that guy.
Yeah.
He would be making jokes and laughing, and it would be a fun time.
Yeah.
I like Jim Carrey. He's a pretty witty guy, and he's a strange guy, and I think that would make sitting in an elevator a lot of fun.
Yeah. It would. Yeah. But let me ask you this. So, favorite sports team and player do you have all time or right now?
Say,
Favorite sports.
a lot of it's still a little staticky. Say that
Okay.
again.
Favorite player and sports team.
I mean, Mark McGuire,
Yeah.
Barry Bonds. Yeah, you did mention football. I liked the Steve Young and Joe Montana guys. I mean, Jerry Rice. Those are the huge names that I say. Even the legends like baseball, Babe Ruth, big personalities.
Yeah.
I guess
Totally.
when you're at the top, you got to have a big personality.
Yeah. You do. You do. Let me ask you this. Did you watch any wrestling as a kid? And did you ever have a wrestler growing up? You
Mick
did?
Foley, Mick Foley. I love Mick Foley. That guy again, big personality. He had, he had that book, and he talked about all his wrestling days fighting in Asia. And
Yeah.
that guy was a true wrestler. I mean, he took barbed wire to the face, and I mean, he was
Thumbtacks.
mankind out here.
Yeah.
He was cat. He was
Cactus Jack. Dude Love.
Dude Love, yeah, Cactus Jack. I mean, that guy is a story legend in itself. So I'm a big Mick
Yeah.
Foley fan.
Alright. Cool. I remember him too back in the Attitude Era. He was really good.
Yeah.
The Sacco and
Yeah,
stuff he had.
he was beyond the American spotlight. I mean, he did it because he loved it. That was his thing. He would be in these backdoor wrestling matches.
It would. Yeah. Let me ask you this. What advice would you give yourself at 12 years old going back in time?
Going back in time, 12 years old, biggest thing is don't sweat the small stuff. Don't stress out about stuff that you
Can't control.
can't control. Growing up, you're always stressed out about school. What are you gonna do for the future? What are you gonna what how you're always that's what I would say is just have fun, be a kid. But education though, invest, invest, invest. I think investing early in your life is huge. I didn't start investing till I was in my 30s. And what I'm doing now for my kids, I open up brokerage accounts for them and other financial accounts for where I put money into. And I already have my son picking and choosing stocks and reading about businesses. I think if that is one thing is learn to invest, 12 years old, get your dad to invest.
Okay.
That's huge, but also try not to sweat the small stuff.
Good one. Let me ask you this. How long you been a homeowner for? And if so, what do you like about the city you live in?
So I bought my first home in 2009. I bought in Concord, a 1,300 square foot house. At the time, it was, I tell you, the price is 438. I bought it for 438,000 in right near De La Salle.
Okay.
And I lived there for 11 years and I loved it. Great house, great little neighborhood. One thing that I wish that I knew is, so I was a veteran already and I was already in the police, and I wish that I knew better, and also the agent that I work with knew better about the VA program, because I didn't have a lot of money when I got out of the military, and I was new to the police, and so I realized that you could do zero down with the VA, but there's no PMI with the VA. And I put down, and I was advised to put down
10%.
3%
Okay.
for an FHA loan. And that's kind of all the money I had. And I got stuck for like 4 to 5 years with a $500 PMI until I refinanced my house twice, and then finally had equity to convert it to a conventional loan. But that was $500 for about every month for 5 years. And that was painful. And I wish I knew that with the VA benefits, VA home loan. And then I bought after 11 years in Concord, I bought my second home, a bigger home in Martinez. And we got a pool, and I love that home. I love Martinez. Martinez is a great little city, and it's got that farmer's market. So I think for advice, make sure your agent is well versed on the different loans and who they can contact if you're a
Yep.
veteran and you are owed these things, and to ensure that your agent is educated, your loan specialist is educated in the programs, and if you're unsure, check another.
Good one. Yeah. Yeah. That's too bad that happened, but yeah, the VA thing like that. I was going to ask you too if you used a VA on a purchase. Of course you did, but yeah. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. If you weren't your current job for work, what would you be doing or see yourself doing, you think? You
So
were,
if I wasn't doing real estate, that's hard to say because maybe security, with the police, and then
yeah.
getting retired, I'd probably do something on the level of like security or some kind of like annuitant job. I really don't know. I never my life has been unplanned. I never The only thing that I knew that I wanted to do at a young age was join the military. And in fact, at age 15, I wrote to the Marine recruiter saying I wanted to join the Marines, but he wrote back and said, be 17 and get a parent to sign off, or 18 when you can. I wanted to be a Marine when I was young. And later on, though, in life, I realized for me better the Army for what I was more focused for. But yeah, the Army was the only thing, and then the police, I kind of fell into that. What was the next progression? Real estate because of my family. Aviation, I like planes, but I didn't know I'd ever try and go into flying a plane or being a plane. It kind of just everything kind of just fell onto each other. So I couldn't tell you what I'd be into now, because maybe I'd be in tech. I like computers. I built computers. I'm pretty savvy with electronic software, so maybe I'd be in tech. I don't know, but kind of, where does life lead you? What takes you to the next level, next
Yeah.
job?
Let me ask you this. So I'm guessing the military, is the Marines first, and then is it Navy, then I guess Army next, or how's that work as far as sequence? Who goes, like, first or
Oh, you talking about like an invading force?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
My Marine friends might not be happy, but here's an example: Fallujah, the Battle of Fallujah.
Okay,
A lot of Marines got the media attention that they were the only ones going through the Battle of Fallujah. They were the only ones fighting, but there was a huge army force on the other side. So the Marines were coming from the south, pushing up, and the army and the divisions were coming from the north. So but the Marines, because they look good in their dress blues, got
yeah.
all the media attention, and everybody goes, "Oh, it's the Marines that were fighting them in Fallujah." No, the Army and Marines were both going there. No, but yeah, it's a big. I have a big camaraderie back and forth with my Marine friends. But Army comes with the big gear. They come with the tanks, the trucks. I mean, the Marines have their trucks, but they're usually the pushing force, the ground assault, and then the Army is coming up for the next phase of battle. I mean, you had the Third Infantry Division coming up with the Marines too
Yeah,
during the invasion of Iraq. So it's they kind of they work in conjunction with each other, but it's the Marines that get all the media attention.
gotcha. Alright. Let me ask you this, do you have a childhood cartoon that you watched growing up?
Oh my God, Tom and Jerry, The
Yeah,
Simpsons. I had like remember with the VHS?
yeah.
I had like stacks of VHS that I recorded of The Simpsons.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So yeah, I like
I
the
got I
not
got in
like
trouble
Tom.
for watching yeah.
What's that?
I got in trouble for watching The Simpsons. I couldn't watch for a little bit because I was acting like Bart, so I had got in trouble. So I had to pipe down a little bit. So, yeah,
Yeah,
eat my
no, big, how
shorts and
big is
stuff.
big. But yeah, I like Tom and Jerry and Wile E. Coyote. That was
Okay.
another one.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this, do you have a favorite video game that you played growing up as a kid? Did you play video games or
Oh, man. You know what? I played Mortal Kombat. I
okay.
played in the arcade. I got good at that. I played Mortal Kombat in the arcades with the big sticks moving the characters, and
Yeah,
so I grew up with a lot of the Mortal Kombat stuff.
okay. And what about board game?
A board game. I try to play chess with my son, my 8-year-old. I'm trying to teach him a little bit of chess and checkers. I think as a
Yeah,
brilliant board game. It's teaches tactics and movement of pieces
yeah.
and yeah,
Strategy?
strategy. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Let me ask you this, what's your drink of choice?
Say again.
Drink of choice?
Well, you know what? I love a good whiskey, Maker's Mark.
Okay.
Maker's Mark is great. I love a Jameson on the rocks.
And then, how about a guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is aviation. It is a massive money dump. It's a money pit. You're constantly rotating money to fix something, it's a highly maintained thing because of safety. So guilty
Yeah,
pleasure is aviation because it is very expensive. It was a lot of fun and it's pretty amazing experience when you're flying in a big machine floating through the air
yeah. So
and the
I'm
skill that it
guessing
takes. To
it's kinda like a classic car, all those classic cars people
Exactly.
have? Yeah,
Yes,
got
yes.
it. Okay.
It's just like a classic car with wings.
Alright, do you got a favorite emoji?
Oh God, it's the face slam and
Yeah,
the kinda, "Come on."
yeah. Then, not only somebody on the show, who'd be a good person on the show that anybody out there I could reach out to? Good candidate to be on here?
A good candidate. I think if you interviewed the chief of police of Oakland,
Okay,
Jim Beer.
okay.
That guy is a former command sergeant major in the Marines. He's a Marine and he recently retired and now he is the chief of the Oakland Police Department and he had started up ground up from I think he was, I might be wrong, but maybe a cadet. But he lives in Oakland. Great guy, down to earth, Irishman. I think that guy would be a lot of fun if talking to Jim Beer, the Oakland police chief. That'd be
Alright,
that'd be a
I'll
good
try to
interview.
reach out or maybe put me in touch with him and see if
I
we can
can
make
I
it
can make
happen.
connections with that. I can reach out
Cool.
to him too. But I think
Alright,
that would be a good one
okay.
to sit down and do an interview with.
Alright. And then, what's on the bucket list you wanna do out there?
Well, my bucket list,
Yeah,
travel to Antarctica. I've
okay.
traveled to many places. I would travel with my father, but I think Antarctica would be
Yeah,
pretty incredible to travel there. Yeah. I've never really sailed anywhere. I think being
okay.
on a sailboat, sailing somewhere from maybe the coast of, the Bay Area to Alaska or
Oh,
even to from from California to the Bay Area to Japan to sail an ocean.
Wow. That's a pretty big that's a good list.
People do it. Some people do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then how do we follow you and be in touch with you on social media? If you want to share how to, be in touch. I know you got some good videos and stuff you've been posting lately, but
Yeah. So my website, jamesrowbotham.com, that's just my real estate website. But then I'm on Rowbotham Real Estate on Instagram. And then same thing with YouTube where, we've got videos of my sister Zara that
yeah.
we do on our listings, and we do YouTube videos. And we also are on a TV show, American Dream, where
Okay.
we talk to restaurant owners. We do, and we also highlight a lot of the big listings in San Francisco. It's a pretty cool episode. Our TV show that we do, some of the things that we highlight are on CNBC. So I'm on, Robotham Real Estate on YouTube.
Cool. And we're on Spotify. Of course, follow me. I'm out there, Steven Lenz on TikTok, all those platforms, Instagram. You can follow, reach out. Questions about real estate, you can reach out to James or me, the one. But from on the spot, right here. Any final thoughts, James, before we get out of here?
Steven, hey, great show. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me on your podcast, The Spot.
Yeah.
It was a
That
lot
was
of
good.
fun.
Yeah.
And even on the back end that doesn't make the show, just talking to you,
Yeah.
great dude. Thank you very much for having me. I am very
Always.
excited for what more comes.
All right. From on the spot, right here.